Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here today. I am hopping on today for a Fiber Friday video. Today's actually Tuesday, but I thought I'd start working on it today because it's going to be a couple pieces and parts, as my videos often are, and it takes me a couple days to finish them. But I was out in the garage, I think this weekend, looking for a toy for our grandkids or a stool or something. Because it was grandkids weekend last weekend, and I happened to notice we don't have a lot of like the bins in our garage. We don't have a lot of those in there, but there is a corner with a few, and I happened to be over there looking for whatever I was looking for, and I noticed that there were two, which I knew they were out there. They've been out there since we moved in. There were two buckets or bins full of my yarn stuff. One of them is just yarn. I think I have to go out and pull that one out, but I did pull in the fiber bucket, and shame on me for having all this beautiful fiber just sitting out in a bucket. Because it is this big, and you can see through it too, so there's no reason for me not to know that it was out there. And so I thought, oh, that would be a fun video. So I'm going to kind of go through this a little bit. The problem with doing this now and not when I got it, is that a lot of this stuff I'm not going to know what it is anymore, because a lot of it is just in Ziploc bags. I can tell you where some of this came from. Some of it is some of my stuff that I've done. And I think a lot of this, including this roving here, this is what you would call pencil roving. This was in I think it was called Fiber Share. I just looked it up, and it was and it's still there, but it doesn't look like they've done anything in years. So I'm going to have to do some more research. I had forgotten all about them also. Fiber Share was a sign up community thing where you signed up to receive, you filled out a form with questions, and you would be matched with another person. And so there's two of you back and forth. Well, actually, it wouldn't be back and forth. It would be, you would be matched with someone, and then someone else would have your name. And you would fill out this form. Do you like knitting or crocheting? Do you spin? Do you dye? What are your interests right now? It all had to revolve around fiber. And then you would curate, is that the right word? Curate? Yeah, I think so. A package for this person that you got their name. And so I did that for a couple years. I had forgotten all about it until I opened up this bin, and oh look, it's a cuff of a sock. Not the missing sock, but it's a sock. Opened up this bin and realized that one of these is from Fiber Share from many years ago. It looks like the last post they have, this was in 2018. So it's been quite a while since I've done these. It looks like the last post they did was 2020. So I'm not sure what happened to them. It was really fun because you would get some kind of a package in the mail from someone who was obsessed with yarn and fiber as much as you were. And they would send you a package of all kinds of stuff. I've gotten yarn. This one is mainly fiber. The problem with doing this now, how many years ago was 2018? 7 years ago, is I don't know what's in here. I don't know what all this stuff is. And actually, I think this one, if I remember right, all of this was labeled. Yeah, it was from Fiber Share. All of this was labeled in individual little packages, and I don't know if I saved. Yeah, so she had it wrapped. Each little piece was wrapped in some tissue, and then I do have all the cards, but I don't know what cards go with what. So this is a BFL. One of the things in here was a BFL. So I thought we'd go through this and do a little stash busting. Some of this is raw fleece, raw fiber, right off the animal. I'm not even sure what this is. Feels like it's been washed. It's still got a little bit of tack to it, so it's got a little bit of lanolin on it. It's got some great crimp in there. So I thought we'd go through and destash some of this and look at it, and then I thought I'd make some art yarn with it. I've got my, you can just see the top of her. I've got my Monarch sitting over here with my 8-ounce bobbin on, and I could switch out to my 16-ounce bobbin, and I may do that just to show you why the Spinolution wheels are so cool to do that with. But if we're going to make art yarn, typically you are going to do bigger, typically art yarn is big, puffy, fun fiber and fun yarn. So I have got, I don't know if this was mine or not. This might be some of mine. I've got some orange and pink in here. And we're going to kind of have to piece together what I've got. I think I have another bag downstairs also. A lot of the times they would send these little add-ons. I think this is silk and some locks. So these are all, there's some locks. These are all just bits and pieces of things that are in here. Oh, I do have, this is Targhee. I have not been a fan of this always, but this is nicer than the other stuff I've worked with. So that's Targhee? Yeah. So this is like pencil roving. So I've got that we could do some stuff with. I've got some teal and yellow. I don't know what this would be if this was mine. I feel like this could be alpaca or something. Maybe not though. It's very soft, very lovely. Almost looks like it was in a roving. And I've got some just natural stuff. Pull this out. I would love to be able to be one of those people who touch something, touch a fiber, and just you automatically know what it is. This one's got some, it's been processed because it's in pencil roving, and it's got some, I can feel the lanolin on it, but I'm not sure what it is. I have no idea. Are there people out there that can do that? Can you do that? Let me know down below if you are able to pick up something like this, a roving or a braid, and go, oh yeah, that's BFL, or that's merino, or whatever. This is another one that's just in a roving. This one's nice and soft. It doesn't have the lanolin that the other one does. So we've got that. We could do some art yarns with. I have a lot of natural colors in this bag, which I suppose I could play some dyeing on some of this. Do some dyeing on some of this. This is, I am almost positive that this one is some Angora. I think these were some bats that I did a really long time ago. They're a little bit matted and they got a little bit pressed down in this bag. That's really pretty too. Something about that color. I love teal and brown together. So I've got that. Oh, that's some silk, it looks like, put in there. So I've got a whole bag of this that could be used. Maybe we'll piece some of that in. The thing about art yarn is you can, there's several different ways to spin it. I think I'm going to do, for this video, I've done, in previous videos, I think I did just a basic art yarn video where I did some thick and thin spinning. There are lots of different techniques to use. And I think for this video, I am going to do thread spun art yarn. So I will show you as we move along here what that's going to look like. But that looks like some Angora that has been dyed. So yeah, I have a whole bunch of just all kinds of rovings in here. And I think I need to run downstairs because I think I have another basket in my closet that is full of stuff also. That is just things, more of my stuff. This is BFL. They did label this one. This came from somebody. I don't know, again, if it was a fiber share or what. So we're going to do some art spinning, and I'm going to do, I'll show you the trick of the Monarch and how cool and easy it is to change out your flyer heads and why you might want a bigger flyer head for the purpose of art yarns. But I thought first, in this first section here, I would talk about the thread that I use. Now, I am by no means a professional in anything that I do. I tinker with a lot of stuff. And so the art yarn, the thread spun art yarn that I've done in the past, I have used a couple different threads. I have used, these are like heavier. I don't prefer this one as much. This is like a crochet thread. You can make jewelry and things like that out of this. So this is a heavier thread. And then I also have another one. This leans almost to, this is a crochet thread also, but it's even heavier than the other one. So that's more of a thicker crochet thread. You can get these in all kinds of different colors. But the ones that I prefer using or have used before are silk threads. And that's what these are. So I ordered a pack of these, I think. So these are just silk. Let's see, what does it say that it is? Art silk thread. So that's what I order to use for thread spinning. And this is really fine silk thread that you can spin with. So I have all kinds of colors here to choose from in my basket. I figured once I figured out my color palette, or maybe not do a color palette, I think then I'll be able to pick out the thread I want to do. And that's what I was saying with art yarn. It can be really fun. You will be surprised at what you can put together color-wise and make it work. Sometimes you can take some of the most odd color matchings and make beautiful yarn, beautiful art yarn by doing that. And so I am going to kind of pull together what I've got here. I'm going to go downstairs in my closet and get my other basket and see what I can find. And then I will switch you up and we'll pull out my Monarch and I'll show you how I would ply it on and then how I thread ply it. And also I'll show you how I switch the flyer head out on that. So stay tuned. Okay guys, I am back. It is the next day and I am getting ready to finish out, or actually start, our art yarn, and then we'll finish it out today. I am on the floor for this part of the video because I wanted to show you not only the fibers that I chose. These are the ones that I am going to spin. And I don't even know. I think this is stuff that I dyed. I think this is my alpaca. This is some pencil roving that was in one of my fiber share bags. And then this, I'm not sure what it is either, but we're going to make art yarn and that's what we're going to call it. So it'll be all good. I am on the floor because I wanted to show you, this is my Monarch from Spinolution. I am a Spinolution dealer. I don't feel like I've made that known well enough lately. I've had so many questions about what are your spinning wheels and where do you get them. I am a dealer and I know I need to go in and on my website there is a Spinolution page and it says coming soon. Well, the page is still coming soon, hopefully one of these days, but I am a dealer right now. So if you ever have any questions or would like to see how the wheels work, I do have 3 of them. I have the Polywog, which is our smallest wheel. I have the Echo, which is a mid-range wheel, and then my Spinolution Monarch, which is the big wheel, and one of the big wheels. I do think she is the heaviest weight-wise. And when I bought her, she was the first one I got, and I bought the studio package, which meant I got all the bells and whistles with it along with a second flyer. So when you purchase the studio packages on the wheels that have it with Spinolution, you get your choice of 2 different flyer heads. So I chose the 8-ounce flyer head. So it's 4/8, 16/32. And then the Monarch does have the option for a 64-ounce flyer head. So if you're really making some serious art yarn, this would be your wheel to go to. But I have the 8-ounce And then I have the 16-ounce flyer head, which this in itself seems massive to me. This seems really big. I can't imagine the 32 ounce is going to be twice the size. The 64 ounce has got to be just huge. And so I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to switch out the flyer heads. So all I do is remove the band, the drive band, and right here there is a black knob, and I am going to undo that. It has a washer on it. I'm going to lift off this one, and I'm going to put this back in. Each flyer head has the washer and the pin screw. I'm not sure what you call this. The knob screw, I guess. And I'm going to set this off to the side, and it is as quick and easy as that. So, oops, I need to take this one out. Like I said, they all have their own. So even if you were to lose one, you can buy replacements, but if you were to lose one and had to, you wouldn't have to worry about it as much. And then you just screw that in tight and put the drive band back on, and it is as easy as that. The drive band just stretches out. I do need to place an order. I need to get some new pegs for a couple of mine are kind of bent. I need to get some of the bands, and then the felt. Let's see. Can I show you? This one has the tension knob right here. There are little felt pads that go inside there that you need to replace every now and then. So those might be some of the upkeep that you need to do on your wheels. So one of the things that intrigued me with the Spinolution wheels, I was making art spun necklaces at one point with my Ashford Traveler was my first wheel, and of course she is a whole orifice, where these are the hook orifices, which make a huge difference when you're doing art yarn. That will make a difference, and the pegs make a difference. They're not hooks like the Ashford, and so they were quite small. They weren't even this big, and so when I was doing that, and when I saw the Spinolution wheels, I thought, oh, that would be amazing for this, along with the modular options that it offers. So again, I am a Spinolution wheel dealer. So if you have any questions on these, please contact me. I would love to help you. And again, if you're local to Michigan, I do have wheels that you could come try if you are interested. So that's how easy it is to switch out the flyer heads on these. I'm going to reposition you, and we're going to get started on this art yarn. So hold on. Okay, so let's get into the spinning part. I will shift you down once more after I just kind of show you. I did bring up my purple ball that I want to mix in. So with art yarn, it's kind of, in my opinion, now other people may have different opinions. We all have our different sides of things. But my creative opinion is on art yarn. You can have a plan or you cannot have a plan. The biggest plan I have this morning is a color palette put together. But otherwise, art yarn is just kind of a fun yarn to make. It can be thick and thin. It can be spun tightly, not spun so much, sort of a lofty single. And remember, we're going to take the thread, which is over here. I have a basket of threads to choose from, and we're kind of in, we've got this pink purple, so I might end up using the royal purple thread. Remember, this is a silk thread, so I'll wait and see before I decide. And these colors are going to kind of just come together, and there's no rhyme or reason to art spun yarn, in my opinion. Again, you can have some consistency to it. Color-wise, you might put your colors in an order that is consistent. You might not. You might spin thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, pretty consistent, or you might spin thick, 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 thin, thick, thick, you know, back and forth. If you get, it would be like more of an inconsistent spin to it. So that's the beauty of art yarn. Especially when I first learned how to spin, art yarn was not a thing yet. And so when that term came out, probably, I don't know, 5 years after I started spinning and people started talking about art yarns, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And then when I started teaching classes, drop, spindle, and spinning wheel, I always told everybody, you know, when they go, oh, this is not consistent, I'm like, you're just making art yarn. So that's a perfect term to use. So I am going to get you off me and onto the wheel, and we're going to do some fun spinning. So hold on. Okay, I have you right on my neck camera holder so you can get this view here. I am going to start out with the pencil roving, which is essentially, this is a great starter roving, anything that says pencil roving, because it's already basically pre-drafted for you, and it makes it super easy to spin. So let's get this, and I have my leader here. It's just another yarn I need to adjust because there we go. I repositioned, or I put on the new flyer, so I needed to adjust that a little bit. And we are gonna, whoops, and I need to make sure that that is clicked in. This is all magnetic here. This whole thing is magnetic, and so you want to make sure, which I did not, that you have that in place. So let's get going here. And remember, oops, I have a way too long leader. There we go. So art yarn is random. You can do big, heavy pieces. You can pull out thinner, make it thin. You can let, with pencil roving, you could let a whole section just go on in. That's the beauty of art yarn. You could put it through so there's not quite so much spin on it. You could put a little bit more spin on a section. So art yarn is it's a fun yarn, again, to start with. It's a great yarn, and especially with like this roving here that, oops, I have a piece of yarn in there. This roving here, you can, and I'm gonna get, when you get the spin up into your hand, then you can't separate this anymore. So you can get great practice, I think, making art yarns of your drafting. So if you are new to spinning, try some art yarns, see what you can come up with. Do some different colors, and I do need to adjust my tension just a little bit. There. I can't remember the last time I actually used this 16-ounce flyer head. So this pencil roving was pre-dyed, so the colors that you see coming through are just how it was dyed. So I'm going to do just a little bit of it, and then I'm going to switch to something else. So remember, we're going to transition, and I'm going to pull out this. This isn't pencil roving per se. This is just some roving that I have. I can't remember if this is Cordale. I got it from a friend. And so I am going to, and again, this can be real thin art yarn. It can be thicker art yarn. It's totally up to you. And we are going to, when we thread ply it, which we will do once we get this put on, that's going to make how our yarn ends up looking. And again, there's kind of a trick to thread plying to how consistent you want to be. Do you want it to be loosey-goosey, or do you want it to be more consistent as you thread ply? And I'll show you that too here. So basically, all I'm going to do is switch in and out of these colors. I do have, if you remember from earlier in the video, I have a bunch of add-ins, which are like silk threads, and Angelica is one of them that they make. And I'm trying to think, oh, I had some locks in there. So that might be something we add along the way. But for now, I'm going to just kind of switch in between some of these fibers. This is, again, I'm not even sure what this is. Some kind of a sheep, because I can feel the lanolin on it, and it's going to spin differently. So we'll get some color twists in there. We'll get some pretty consistent. This one you could do pretty consistent. If you're watching me pull, I'm getting all of these little thick and thin pieces. You can do, and again, this is close to pencil roving. Not quite as thin as the first stuff I was using. So we are getting some different textures out of this even. And this is when you get a sheep wool with some of the lanolin still in it like this, it's super nice to, I'm going to move this. It is super nice to have that because it gives you a little bit of a grip. And I am still just adjusting my tension on this. I want it to pick up just a little bit more. There we go. This is pretty simple to do consistent. You see me pulling and then letting go. It kind of grabs itself. It's doing the work for me. So I am going to finish this up and then I will be back. Okay guys, I am back. I am going to try to not shift the camera too much to finish this video off, but I have a full bobbin of art yarn. This would be a single. So this is ready to go. I have a new bobbin on my same wheel, the Spinolution Monarch with the 16-ounce flyer head, and I did decide to go with the purple thread to spin it with. I have my Lazy Kate here at my feet, which if you don't know what a Lazy Kate is, it is this thing, and it sets your bobbins on so you can work with them. This one is also, this was part of my Monarch Studio package. It can be either a floor model or you can fold these up and it hooks right on the back of the handle right in here. For today's purposes, I'm going to just set it on the floor here next to me. And I did have, oh boy, I lost my, let me see, there it is. I think that's it. Did I get my leader? Nope, I have to go get, this is a brand new bobbin that I have not used, and so I need to get a thread for a leader. Be right back. Okay, I have a leader on here now, and I am going to make a little loop in that leader. This really is not the right yarn. This is just crochet thread because it was here and I just grabbed it. Typically you'll want to do another piece of hand spun yarn or cotton thread or something like that, but for today's purposes we're just going to do this. So I have my end of my bobbin that I just spun, and I'm going to stick that in there. Remember when we do, oops, I need to loosen up the tension. There we go. When we do, and I had talked about the little felt pads in the tension block. Pretty sure that's what that is. I need to change out the tension block pad. Let me see if I can get through the end of this video without doing that. So when you are spinning, typically I always spin clockwise and I ply counterclockwise, and that's what I'm going to do with this. And I have my thread in one hand, and I am going to get this together with the yarn that I just made, the single ply that I just made. And I've got it in the hook, and so let me tilt you down just slightly and just adjust you. Okay, so I'm going to counterclockwise, and I am going to thread ply. Now the purple on this dark teal is going to be real hard for you to see. It's kind of hard for me to see, except for I can see the texture that it's making. I can see that it's plying. So let me get to the colored part of the yarn and I will restart this. Okay, I've gotten through that deep teal, and plying with thread is no different than plying with 2 full bobbins of whatever yarn, hopefully. And I just have the thread sitting in my lap here and running it through my finger. And let me get, oh, we're back at that teal section. So I am just working this through, and what it's doing is, whoops, I was afraid of that. I had some sections that were not structurally sound. I got real thin on that one piece at the end. So I am going to, that's one thing you always want to make sure with your yarns, that they are structurally sound yarns. You don't want to just that's one thing with art yarn. You don't want to go to the point where you don't have structure to your yarn. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to thread ply right over that, because this is going to be a little bit more forgiving than a regular consistent skein of yarn. Let me zoom in real quick here. Stop my wheel, bring you right in, and I think you can see that thread on the yellow. That's all I'm doing with this, is simply holding this and letting it feed into my wheel the same way I would normally ply. A couple things I wanted to mention as I was sitting here thinking, and I apologize, I have my washing machine going in the background and it just popped into its spin cycle, of course. But to do an art yarn, it does not have to be all these colors that I chose. You can do an art yarn with, like I saw someone this morning spinning an art yarn, and it was just a beige toned, and she had thrown in some of the add-ins that I talked about, like I think hers were Angelica or something like that, silk. She had thrown that in, so it was pretty much one color. It's more about the spinning than it is the colors. I just wanted to use up some of this fiber that I had, and I thought this would be a great way to do it. And we're going to kind of see, once I get this all put together, what this skein is going to look like. And art yarns are not everybody's cup of tea. Some people are very want to be very consistent with their yarns and very consistent with their spinning, and so art yarn just would not be the thing that they would even choose to do. But art yarns can be a great way. I think they're a great way to learn how to spin. Like I said, there's not as much drafting that you have to worry about. You can get some of the pencil roving and just use that and learn the feel for your wheel and the feel for spinning and the feel for how your hands and feet are all going to work together, and then just call it art yarn. So that's the beauty of making some of this. It's great technique for learning the basics of spinning. So I am just going to sit here and finish off this yarn. And the thread is wrapping around. You can see some of these bigger chunks here, and the thread just kind of solidifies it as a whole. That gives it structure and makes it a beautiful yarn, in my opinion. So I hope, if I can get this to move, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you get to create something today. Bye.